What's up, everybody? This is Warhawk Beyond 2040 in the house once again, and I've just finished watching episode 2 of season 1 of Batwoman. This week's episode was called The Rabbit Hole, and I have to say that this week's episode was a lot better than last week's, even though I said previously that I did enjoy the pilot episode, but I felt it was a little bit of a slow start. But this week's episode, definitely much better. Got to see a bit more bat action, so to speak. And I definitely got some Batman Begins vibes at times with certain scenes. So overall, very, very good episode. I enjoyed it a lot. And this episode pretty much carries on from the end of the last one. We learned from last week's episode that Kate Kane discovered that Alice is indeed her sister, who she thought had died in the car crash, and that was Beth Kane. And we kind of got to see her trying to put the pieces together about how her sister survived and how she became what she is, and she's pretty much on a quest to prove to her dad that Beth Kane is Alice and she's alive and well, and she's the head of the Wonderland gang, so to speak. So this was really cool to see Kate Kane slowly going into detective mode, trying to figure out how this all happened. How we kick off this week's episode is we kind of get a little quick flashback of the day of the car crash, and we also get to see a little bit more of that, where Kate and her dad are in the woods trying to find Beth's body to see if she's still alive. And what I enjoyed about the beginning of this episode was we got to see Kate Kane in the Batwoman costume once again, and this scene kind of reminded me of Batman Begins, with the whole disappearing act and fighting bad guys in the alleyways. And I definitely got the Batman Begins vibe from that scene. And even Ruby Rose in the Batsuit, she I don't want to sound horrible when I say this, but it just kind of reminds me of Christian Bale, just minus the gargly voice. But it was a lot of fun seeing Batwoman in action. I would like to see Batwoman maybe have her own voice, so she could disguise herself so people wouldn't know that Kate Kane and Batwoman are the same person, because at the moment we're just pretty much seeing Kate Kane in the Batsuit, but she still talks in her normal voice. I'd like to definitely see that change over the course of this season. And also, there was a really cool scene here. We see Kate Kane on a motorcycle. I'm hoping we get to see a proper bat cycle maybe later on in the season. And I'm definitely getting Batman Begins vibes. There is a scene here where Batwoman is driving on a motorcycle through the car park, and she goes into the Batcave through the elevator, and definitely feels like something you would see in maybe Batman the Animated Series or the Nolan Bat films. You know, lots of Batman lore and homages in this episode. Really enjoyed this. And also the chemistry with Kate Kane and Luke Fox. I'm intrigued to see how their chemistry will develop over the course of this season, because so far what I'm seeing is Luke Fox is saying to Kate, look, people think you're Batman, you know, you've got all these cool gadgets, but you don't know the first thing, how to use them. I mean, this is some of the best technology on the planet. So it's really good to see that dynamic. So it's going to be really interesting to see how these two will develop their chemistry as we go along. And one other thing I did want to mention in this is that People think that Batman is back, even though we all know that's not quite the case. But it's really cool to see lots of people thinking that Batman is back, so I'm going to be interested to see how Gotham will actually react to the fact that it's not Batman and it's actually Batwoman. So that should be quite an interesting revelation when we get to that. Also, Sophie, that's Kate's ex, she asks the question, "Are you Batwoman?" And Kate Kane obviously denies it. I'm hoping that this relationship of theirs doesn't get too lovey-dovey. I mean, like I said last week, I don't mind if they want to tell that sort of story, but I don't want it to completely overshadow the entire show, because at the end of the day, last I checked, this is a Batwoman show, not the Kate Kane show, so I want to see lots of kick-ass bat action, so I don't want to really see too much of that. And you know, in this episode as well, Kate tells Sophie that, look, Alice is Beth, I need you to help me prove that to my dad. And of course she flat out says no, I'm not going to, but she goes behind her back anyway. That's Kate I'm referring to. And we kind of see that relationship get a little bit rocky at times, but overall I thought that side of the show was quite cool. I thought that was kind of cool they got to have that sort of moment. I'm hoping we don't get too much of that. Also, one other thing I wanted to point out in this episode, we got more flashbacks of Kate and her dad while they were trying to find out if Beth was still alive, so that was quite cool. And we even got a scene where Kate and Beth met at their favourite spot, which was called Waffles, because we all know that was their favourite spot growing up. So they met at the park, and that was quite a cool scene. And another thing I wanted to kind of point out in this episode, where Dodgson goes after Kate's stepsister Mary, and it kind of reminded me a little bit of The Shining with Jack Nicholson, where he was trying to smash the door down with an axe, and the only thing that was missing was for Dodgson to say, "Here's Dodgson" or "Here's Johnny," you know. So that was quite a fun moment, and Batwoman took him out with ease. I'm not too sure if at any point Mary knows that Kate is Batwoman. I'm pretty sure she might find out later on in the season or not. So afterwards we see Batwoman save Alice after she was taken in custody, and her van goes over the bridge, which had a bomb planted underneath it. Honestly, I'm telling you, these CW shows, they have an obsession with bridges and car crashes. So we got to see that moment, and Alice obviously escapes. We also learn that Kate's stepmother, Catherine, secretly orders the thugs to destroy the knife, and towards the end we see Batwoman interrogate Dodgson, and Kate is left with a sleeping bat with a note saying that you have our father's eyes, and the bat goes off and flies. So that was kind of a cool ending. But overall, I would have to say solid, decent episode. Only thing I didn't like was the whole lovey-dovey muck with Kate and Sophie. Like I said earlier, I'm really hoping we don't get too much of that, but it is what it is, so we're just going to have to wait and see how that plays out. But overall, I really enjoyed it. It was a really good episode, and I'm really looking forward to see how the rest of the season plays out. So what did you guys think? Did you think this week's episode was good? Did you think it was better than last week's, or not? Leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see you all next time when I review episode 3. So till then, take care.